Hey guys, Jim here. We're going to do something a little bit different today. We're going to be doing a sneak peek video, something I haven't gotten a lot of opportunities to do, but when I do, I find it to be very, very exciting. And today, I'm not just going to be giving you an advanced look at a knife that's not available yet, but also hopefully open your eyes to a new maker that most people don't know. His name is Alexander Dietz. Now, if you think you recognize that name, and you most likely do, it's because you or someone you know has probably had a knife modified by him, and you can call them modifiers or pimpers or whatever you want to call them. Many of you might remember my Quaken, and this was actually built for me by Alex, done in the all-time Damascus. His work is just phenomenal. And what he's looking at doing now is taking all the things that he's learned over the time of modifying production knives and mid-techs and even full customs to what his customers want and translate that into one singular piece that will not only represent that customer well, but represent him and his style. And I think this was a really, really good piece to do that with. This is called the Sycamore. Let's get that bad boy popped open, let you get a good look at it before we get into the Dietz. See the details, the Dietz. You see what I did there? And there is his logo, Dietzknives. When you guys look him up on Instagram, it's under Alexander Dietz. I call him Alex. Most everybody else calls him Alex. He does prefer when I call him Bunny. I'm not really too sure why, or Muffin Ass. So you know, when you reach out and send correspondence to him, keep in mind that he does like pet names. All right, so let's take a good look at this knife. Now, you're going to see it is somewhat derivative. There's going to be certain influences and inspirations that you're going to see in this knife that you may have seen in other really prolific makers. I'm not going to bother to name any because I could pick out 2 or 3 different makers right here in this one knife. And I like that. What he's done is he's taken what he knows people love, and then he's made it his own. You can't look at this knife and go, oh, that looks just like so-and-so or so-and-so. You know, there's definitely going to be some influences here and there. But I think overall what he's done is he's taken that and created something that is uniquely his. Before I get into much of the specifics, I do want to say that I've been playing with this for the better part of today, and I am really impressed with it. I'm impressed with the ergos. It feels fantastic in the hand. It's just, for me, it's the perfect size. It is super smooth. He's got a great detent on this. Let's bring that down. Oh. See if we can bring that back down slowly. Focus. There we go. Oh yeah. Sucks it in real good. Giggity. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read off a few things here. Alex was kind enough to send me a list of some things here because he wants to make it very clear that this is his personal prototype, and there are going to be things that you see here that won't be on the customs that he's going to be making, and things that aren't here that will be on the customs. So I'm going to kind of set my phone here to the side with my notes. While I'm getting that together, talk about Alex just a little bit. He's 23 years old, he's married, and he's at this point now a full-time knife maker. So what he's doing is he's taking in this passion that he's had for years, and he's pouring it into this one design. Now, he does have a friction folder. I haven't gotten a chance to get my hands on that yet. I will soon, and I'll be happy to show that as well. But this is his first attempt at creating from the ground up his very own frame lock. I love the fact that he went with a flipper. I love the fact that he went with a 3.5-inch blade. It's a great size. Most people are not going to be turned off by a 3.5-inch blade. Guys like me won't go down to a 3-inch blade. There are plenty of guys that won't go up to a 4-inch blade, either for their preferences or by their state laws. So by doing a 3.5, I think he's kind of satisfying the majority of the market. Not many people are going to say no to that size. It's legal almost everywhere, I would think, and it's going to be easy to EDC. And I think that's where this knife really fits in. It's an EDC. Now, he's obviously made his a bit of a showpiece here, and I'm certain that plenty of people are going to opt for touches like that. But really, this is a great EDC knife all the way around, the way it handles, the way it feels, and good God did he make it a good flipper. Now what he's been doing is he's been transferring the knowledge that he's gained, modifying other people's knives, but he's also gotten some really cool tutelage. He actually apprenticed for a bit under Eric Oakes. Now that's huge. If you follow Oakes Shoreworks, you know that the knives are absolutely mind-blowing. The quality, the fit and finish, and the legend that's really kind of gone out there in the industry. That's a really, really good place to start. He's also gotten a few tips and tricks from Brad Blunt, from Jason Stout, and those are two guys that I have a tremendous amount of respect for. So I think he was smart enough to reach out and get the advice from the right people. You know, there's a lot of people out there that I'm sure would offer advice, but at least he's going to the right people that are making the kind of knife that he's looking at making. So good choices there. I'm going to lay this down. Let's go through some of the specs here. So first off, this is only going to apply to the prototype that I have here. We have an S35 VN blade, and look at the thickness here. 187 thousandths of an inch. Really, really, really stout. Really love the harpoon that he's done here. I'm a big fan of harpoons. I couldn't even tell you why. I just like that slightly aggressive look that it gives off. So nice thick blade stock. Lay that back down. On this example, he's using Kershaw's KVT bearings. He's going to be switching to, I do believe, yeah, he's going to be switching to GTC bearings. So do keep that in mind. You're going to have a bearing pivot on there. It's going to be super fast and super smooth. The blade steel is going to remain the same, but he's going to go to 3/16 on the S35 VN. On this particular example, what he's using is a Chad Nichols Boomerang Damascus, and that's on the clip and on the back spacer. And by the way, that back spacer, oh, that's the sex right there. 45-degree boomerang. Just gorgeous. Great little touches. The pivot, nicely anodized. It's actually pretty damn sexy, isn't it? It's a Steve Kelly pivot. Now, you will not be getting a Steve Kelly titanium pivot on the production. He's going to be doing, let's see here. It's going to be one of the Alpha Knife Supply pivots. So, and again, I mean, you're talking about a difference of quite a few dollars there. So he's got to do what he can, because he's going to be putting these out at what I feel is an extraordinarily reasonable price, considering especially the fact that he's not using water jet. I mean, he's going as custom as he possibly can. The frame and the blade are all cut from sheet stock by hand. So he's not using a water jet. That's a really impressive feat, especially for your first time out. I mean, what a daunting task to decide, I'm going to go ahead and make my first frame lock. I'm not going to rely on a water jet. I'm going to do all my own stock removal. That's kind of a big deal. By the way, look at the finish on here. I know I'm rambling a little bit, but there's a lot to get to, and I only have a little bit of time here. Just gorgeous. All right, so we went over the pivot. We went over the Damascus that's on there. 1/8-inch stop pin. Get that close so we can get a better look at it. Nice and beefy. And let's see, you're going to be getting 5/32 stop pin on the pieces that you order. One of the big changes is you're also not going to see the hardware toward the butt end of the knife. He's going to be doing that from the inside. So the presentation side, all you should really see is the pivot, because he's going to press fit the stop pin. So I don't think that there's going to be an opening, at least on the presentation side. So when you look at it, From what I understand, you're only going to see the pivot, and everything else should be nice and clean. I think the whole thing is a nice, clean look. I know I'm in the first run. I know the way that I'm going with mine, I'm going for a very sanitary look. I'm not even dressing it up by doing Damascus. I'm actually going to be doing just some blued anodized titanium pieces, and I'm going to keep with this finish, a little bit darker actually. And that's it, because I look at this as being something I'm going to carry and use on a regular basis. I don't want to make it too pretty. I've already got plenty of stuff to do that. So he's going to be offering a lot of different options, pretty much anything you can think of. The very first one he's making right now, which I think is for Dave, he's doing, if I'm not mistaken, I think he was doing some zirconium in it, but he's got pretty much everything that you can imagine that he's going to be able to work with. So you definitely want to contact him. I know the first run is completely sold out. I think his second run is too, but I think he's generating a backup list. So it might behoove you to kind of get in contact with him, go, hey, yo, I was looking at this, I thought it was cool, maybe put me on a backup list, and then think of the different types of materials that you might want. Challenge him a little bit. He actually enjoys a challenge, unlike a lot of knife makers. You know, I've been showing you the Quaken that he did. That was a huge pain in the ass, because I had him do a lot of hand polishing on the frames, hand polishing on the blade, a lot of mixtures of finishes. I mean, and I was specific on my Damascus. I only wanted to show blue, which is kind of a pain in the ass. So it challenged him. He never once complained. He looked at it as a challenge, and he enjoyed doing it. Now, he said he'd probably never do it again, but it was something really cool and fun for him to do, and it helps him grow as a knife maker. So, yeah, I would say throw something crazy at him. Oh, the worst he could say is no, right? So let's see. I want to talk about the lock interface here. He's going to be changing the interface a little bit. So you're actually going to get, in my opinion, this lock geometry is fine, but you could see it's already locking up fairly late. So he wants to change the geometry on this so it locks up a bit earlier. For those of you that are really super picky about that, you will be very satisfied. Here is the blade centering. And remember, this is a knife that he's been carrying around for the past couple of weeks and knocking around and banging around, and yet it's still, you know, it still looks like it should be for a knife that would be, you know, $700, $800, $900, maybe $1,200 from most makers. And he's nowhere near that price. That's what's so incredible about this. Anything else that's going to change? That's pretty much it. The only other thing that he wanted me to mention, because he knew, he knew that I was going to nail him on this. One of my pet peeves is when a maker basically chooses for you whether or not you can have a lanyard. And if there's no opening for a lanyard, or at least a standoff in the back where you can loop one in, it's kind of a pain in the butt to me. He says, so just so you know, my prototype was made for no lanyard. He goes, but I am going to be offering the option for people that order. They can have a lanyard opening or not. It depends on whatever they want. So he's not even going to be finishing off these sides until he's talked to you and said, okay, what do you want? And once you say, no, I don't want a lanyard hole, well, he hasn't already pre-drilled one. So he's going to be able to make these specifically for the individual and how they plan on carrying it. For me, you've got a really nice 3D sculpted pocket clip. He knows I'm big on pocket clips. I hate cheap clips on a good knife. The way that this is built, it's not super duper deep carry, but it's pretty deep carry. But I feel like I can grab this without applying a lot of pressure on the clip, making it hard to get out of the pocket. So I may not use a lanyard with mine. I'm still going to get the lanyard opening just so I have the option. But I think the way that he's designed this overall, it's practical. It's easy to carry. I've already put this in the pocket a couple of times. I figured he wouldn't mind since he has been carrying it. And I've been flipping it relentlessly. And the thing about this is his detent is so perfect and the action is so smooth that no matter what style you have for flipping, rocking back, light switching it, or preloading it and push buttoning it, it's going to rock it out of there. And I've been kind of tending to push button this one a little bit. I'm not even really sure why, because it does so well with just light switching it. He's really, I got to tell you, out of the gate, for his very first full knife, I really have nothing that I can pick apart on this. You know, there are going to be some people that may not be a fan of that extreme look of the belt grind on here. I got to be honest with you, most of the time I'm not. I've become more of a fan of it lately with a couple of knives that I've gotten. I like the look. It has more of a utilitarian tool look. But you'll notice it's not because he's lazy or untalented. Look at the flats. That is hand rubbed satin and done very, very, very well. So I'm going to have to assume that whatever you choose, he's going to nail. This is what fits his style. This is what he wanted to do to create a dramatic effect between the flats and going all the way down the main bevel. Did the same thing to accent the harpoon. They pick up light really well without having to be mirror polished or anything, you know, pimpy, anything over the top. This is really a work knife. It's a work knife that feels like a full custom. I can tell you right now, you could put any number of maker's knives in your hands. That could be, maybe it's a Brad Blunt, maybe it's a Jason Stout, maybe it's a Jake Holback, you know, that's in this kind of similar vein. And I'm going to tell you right now, and it's going to be hard for people to believe, but he nailed it. He feels like he's already been making knives for years. It feels like that quality level. I'm really not able to pick apart a whole bunch of different things. The whole thing is just clean. There are no glaring mistakes that I see standing out. And again, this is a prototype. This is not meant to be a true representation of the delivered product. I think he's done a fantastic job. He's even rounded off the harpoon edge a little bit so that it's not uncomfortable when the knife is folded up and held in the hand. He's done a great job keeping the blade very far away from the back spacer, not worrying about hitting the blade, yet it's still folding up fully into the handle. It's nice and compact. He's done a great job on the contouring of the frames. It's got a great feel in the hand. Superb finish work. It's got a really nice working finish on it. I wouldn't feel afraid to carry a knife with this finish. It's going to mask most of your daily carry marks very easily. All of the things that you guys know that I pick apart like crazy. If I'm going to spend, say, over $400 on a knife, I want a nice custom pivot if possible. It's not mandatory, but it's definitely a call out when you're able to get it. And I don't want a cheap spring clip. And he's nailed it. He's got a really nice clean clip on here. It's not overly ornate. I mean, yes, the material that you're seeing here is, but you know, it's not overly done. It follows the lines of the knife very nicely. Love that pivot. He's going to be cleaning this area up here, so that's going to be completely smooth on the pieces that are delivered to the customers. Beautiful back spacer. And he didn't run a full back spacer. I like that. So it's got a nice clean pass-through design. So it's easier to keep this clean. As a matter of fact, just before I came out here, you know, I just hit it up with the old electronics duster there, little air can. Got all the dirt and dust and lint out of it. I hate full back spacers for the most part. It's got a nice substantial feel in the hand without being, you know, ridiculously heavy. It kind of feels like a little tank of a knife, but it's not severely overbuilt. So in my opinion, he's kind of found that perfect line right in the middle. You know, it's kind of built like a tank, yet it's not tremendously overbuilt, doesn't have a giant pivot. It's not super crazy thick blade stock like 200 thou or anything like that, 220. But yet that is substantial in every way. And you feel the weight of that blade when this thing opens up. You can feel it hitting that stop pin, and you get a little bit of recoil there. He's made it adequately sharp. That's putting it mildly. I don't really have any fine paper laying around, but you know, even just on regular copy paper, a little snag there. There we go. Now keep in mind, this is a knife that we've been watching him on Instagram for the past week and a half or so, cutting stuff with and everything else. But adequately sharp for what it is. So, there you go. For a knife that's not fresh off the bench that has been used, that's fine. I have no idea to what extent. I think overall he's done a nice clean job. If he were to come out and say this is going to be $700 to $800 the way it sits, I'd gladly pay it. The kick in the teeth is he's not anywhere near that price. I don't want to go quoting the prices just yet because I don't know if things are going to change once he gets past this first batch. I will say this, for a standard folder without getting into Timascus or Moku Tai or Zirconium, he's doing them under $600. Now, when he gets past that first run, his costs may change or anything else. I don't know. But for those of you that are looking at this going, well, this is comparable to a knife that would be in that $700 to $850 range, especially with these touches, then you'd have to look at this as a bargain. I'm very excited to get mine. I should have mine in the next few weeks, maybe in the next month. And when that's done, I will revisit this and I will most certainly be uploading a video of mine. And I'll let you know what the full, I don't want to say production because these are all customs, but what the delivered product is going to be like and how it differs in reality from the prototype. Will it be as smooth? Will it be as rocket fast? Will it feel as good in the hand? We're going to have to find out in just a few weeks. Until then, there is your HD eyeful of the Alex Dietz Sycamore. And he's going to be following that theme, by the way, of naming his knives after trees. He is an Oregon native. And as you see, he's got that, I guess that's a pine tree? Is that a pine tree? Yeah, I think it's a pine tree. Yeah, it's used as his logo. So those of you from the Pacific Northwest will certainly respect the names that he's going to be choosing. I'm excited to see what else he's got up his sleeve because for a first outing, I got to tell you, it's almost unbelievable. So let's keep an eye on this guy as he grows and grows as a knife maker, because by the time he gets to model 6, 7, 8, 10, 15, oh my God. I think he's going to be getting up there in the prices just like the other big boys. But if until that time comes, let's just enjoy them for what they are. All right, guys, I'll see you soon. Hopefully I'll have mine in my hands in a few weeks, and we'll do a real-world comparison there. Talk to you later.